Attention, all mech enthusiasts. If you are looking for information on how to better build your mechs within Starfinder, we're going to talk about those. I'm also going to give you one easily overlooked step, which can turn your mech from numbers on a piece of paper to something with personality. Let's take a look at the rules for building your own battle robot, and maybe we can simplify a few things for you and enhance your Starfinder experience. If you don't have it already, everything I'm going to be talking about can be found inside of Tech Revolution. If you're looking to get a copy for yourself, link is in the description below. Let's take a look at the rules around building your own battle robot. Hopefully we can simplify a few things so you can get these worked into your games. There's more to it than just battle robots, but that is what I will be focusing on for this video. There are 9 easy steps when it comes to building your battle robot in Starfinder. Really, the only difficult thing is trying to narrow down your choices to best fit what you're looking for. I'm going to be talking about the concept, the mech points, the frame, the limbs, the power core, weapons, auxiliary systems, upgrades, and final details. Whatever concept you have in mind for your battle robot, you need to keep this in mind. It is possible to overload your mech. They can carry too much. The amount of weight that your robot can carry is 20 times its strength modifier. If you go over that, you will be overburdened, and then you just move a little bit slower. There's some more penalties. That's 40 times the strength modifier. You can't go over that, then your mech just is too heavy to move. That's a huge bitch. By default, all mechs house a level 1 computer and a personal comm unit, so please keep that in mind when you are going through your design process. Step 1 is concept. This is the fun part. This is the mental design of your mech. What do you want it to do? Do you want it to be the combat robot with tons of guns? Do you want it to be a missile tank? Do you want it to be a transporter of heavy goods? Do you want it to Iron Man through the sky, or even swim or cut through the water? Because all of these things can be achieved. But what if you want to design more than one robot? What if you want one battle mech for every player character you have? Or maybe even 2 or 3 robots because you have a larger group. Design and concept away, because it doesn't matter if you're building one robot or if you're building 3, 5, 10 robots, the same following rules are going to apply. Which will lead us into step 2, and that is assigning your mech points. As a group, your party has a pool of points that they can use to design their mech. This pool will be modified for the size of your party. Bigger parties have more points to choose from. If you are building one mech big enough for the entire party, everything comes from the single pool. If you are building 3 mechs to house all of your party, they still draw from the same pool. How you decide to split them up at this point is really entirely up to you in the table, maybe your GM. If you split them equally, you can do that. You don't have to. You can give more points to a larger robot build with 2 supporting smaller ones. If you want to be fair, keep it all the same, but you don't have to. There are varying tiers of mechs. Obviously, the better ones cost more build points. A mech's tier cannot exceed the party's average party level. Once you've decided how you're going to split up the points, we can start moving into the fun bits, the actual building process, and that leads us into step 3, the frames. Every mech has a frame. Inside this frame, the power core, the operators are housed, along with some other subsystems and auxiliary systems. Now, the frame size is what's going to determine how many people can fit inside of the mech, as well as hit points, slots, auxiliary slots, frame slots, lots of slots, speed, EAC, KAC, hardness. If you go to Tech Revolution page 98, you're going to find everything you desire. As I mentioned, some frames are going to be better for the water, for flying, for combat, transport, tons of other options. Take a look at page 98 of Tech Revolution. Step 4. Now we have our frame, we have our mech. Now we need to put some limbs on it. Now, limbs in this case refers to the upper body and the lower body. Depending on your selection, bonuses or penalties will be applied to your mech. Maybe they'll make it slower, maybe they will make it faster. Read the description of your limbs and you'll find out. I like the quadruped legs. The idea of this, the concept of this is really cool. They are a little pricey, but they do add hit points to your mech, and thematically they make it look cool. I do also like the idea of a mech with powerful arms. Might be good for snuggling in those big, strong, beefy arms. Now we get on to step 5, and that's liking the video if you're enjoying the Starfinder content today. That is not actually step 5. Step 5 is the power core. Your power core is what's going to bring the entirety of the mech together. You have your chosen frame, you have your limbs. We haven't gone into weapons yet or auxiliary systems, but the power core is going to help you run those systems. Depending on what power core you've put inside your mech, this will determine the amount of power points it generates to run your systems, otherwise known as PP. Your PP will also determine the extraordinary abilities that your mech can perform. You can find more information on power cores on page 102 of the Tech Revolution. Step 6, that's weapons, baby. Now, depending on the frame that you chose in step 3, this will give you the amount of frame slots that you have. Your limb selection from step 4 will also play into this, but if you have a frame slot, you can put a weapon on it. There is a simple template when it comes to weapons. It's based around the type of damage your weapon will do, as well as range and special abilities. Now, if you wanted to just be basic, boring, you could go with a rifle, frost rifle, heat rifle, or if you wanted to take some inspiration from Demoratosh, you could go with the flaming Doshko variant weapon. There's also a chain whip variant if you wanted to get your kink on, a good old-fashioned rocket launcher, or if you wanted to go full anime weeaboo, you can go with a giant scythe. There is, of course, many other weapon types out there. Find one that suits you best. Step 7 is the auxiliary systems. Now, when it comes to these, they don't actually cost anything when it comes to power points. They don't even cost mech points to install them. There are some certain requirements that must be met. You can't put a cargo hold on a mech that just doesn't have the space to store cargo. But depending on what system you put into your robot, using their special abilities will also sometimes cost power points. For example, there is a cloaking device that you can install on a mech. It must go onto a recon frame, and it does require 4 of your PP to activate. When you finished installing auxiliary systems, weapons, legs, hands, and you still have some mech points left over, this is where upgrades come in handy. Once you've finished building your mech, you've got a frame, you've got limbs, weapons, auxiliary systems. Now we can start looking at upgrades, as long as you have the MP left over to spend. At this stage, you can actually improve your mech's speed, you can give them extra armor, or even give it a supercomputer. Now, if we leave things here, you have a fully functional mech. You have a bunch of stats, you have weapons and attacks, special abilities. What you don't have now is character or personality within your mech itself. That's why step 9 is details. What is it about your mech that makes it unique? And I'm not talking about the paint. I'm not talking about the weapons and the abilities that it has. I'm talking about its quirks. It's one of those things that can really bring out flavor and personality to your robot. You can also do this to your characters as well. For example, you may have a targeting computer that you need to tap twice in the upper left-hand corner. You may have a button that just sticks on a little bit too long. Maybe you bought a brand name of robot legs and they are known for having bad servos in the joints. Things like this should be used more for roleplay and character development, for adding flavor to scenes that you're having with your friends. GMs, you can insert these quirks into the game. Don't make it so that if there's a bad servo joint that you're penalizing speed or taking away use of a limb. If the players aren't doing this themselves, you can add these little quirks to help encourage that roleplay. Or maybe you do give a penalty on this if you're finding that maybe their mech is overpowered or you've made some mistake in this. I don't see how you could do that, but there's one potential solution for you. The best part about building a giant robot is being able to use it. So if you want to learn about combat with mechs, click this video here. Thank you to all of my patrons for supporting me and the channel and voting on this video topic today. My name's Nathaniel. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.